Today's topic, communication tip, the innocent question. How to get the best results when you're talking about when you have a question for your partner. In other words, when there's a glitch happens in your experience with your partner. Either they did something when they were not around you, or they did something when they were around you, or something went funky in the communication and you feel tweaked. You feel like, that doesn't work for me. What's going on? I don't understand. Well, it's really easy to have the conversation about things like that go awry and have your partner get defensive. So today I'm talking about the innocent question, which is the key to how you can improve your results by many percentages. How you can address that situation in a way that actually draws your partner out instead of putting them on their back foot or giving them an impression that they react to with defensiveness. So, so here's how I want to explain this. I mean, yes. So the big picture is that you want to ask, number one, ask a question. Don't make a statement. Ask a question. Find what's the question you can ask. However, it's possible to ask a question and still be telling something. So, for instance, one peak experience from many years ago that that demonstrates this in my life. It's kind of silly, but it's a great illustration. I was juicing celery. I was getting ready to juice celery, and I had this big mound of celery sticks that were washed and ready for the juicer. And my dad comes in the room and he says, "You're going to juice all that celery?" Classic, right? So he asked me a question. The answer to the question would be yes, a simple yes, at the level of words, at the level of facts. But at the level of tone and energy, he was telling me, that's too much. And I decided that I was going to address that's too much. Like, why? What? But I said, why are you asking? Because I was challenging him to come out of the closet and tell me what his judgment was. But anyway, that's an example of how a question can be a statement. So, so the innocent question is not just about phrasing what we want to say in the form of a question. It's actually coming to a place inside ourselves where the question is honest and innocent, not loaded. So, so this reminds me of how we get there, how we get to that innocent question. Reminds me of something that I learned from my piano teacher a long time ago. I don't study piano anymore, but I studied piano for 7 years, starting in the year 2000. I stopped piano when I started learning tango because I love tango so much, and I didn't have enough time and energy for both. So anyway, so studying piano, when I would mess up in my, I would be playing something in a lesson with my instructor and something would go wrong and I would mess up. And she would say, okay, let's look at what happened the measure before. Because in the measure before the mess up, that's where the strain happened. Something difficult happened that your fingers didn't know how to do that set you up for failure in the measure after. So it's the same kind of thing with the innocent question. When you're trying to find the innocent question, typically the kind of situation that I'm describing is where we're already feeling triggered. Something's already up, right? It's a glitch. It's like, oh, something's not right here. Like, boy, I could really use a relationship example, but I don't have one coming to mind. Maybe you can give me a relationship example in the comments, and then I'll respond to it with tomorrow's live. How about that? some situation where you felt like, if you want to play this game, some situation where you felt upset about something and you wanted to bring it up to your partner, but you didn't want to cause a fight. So, yeah, I can remember this from a long time ago when I was really working this edge, when it was really hard for me to find the innocent question. I was working really hard at it. This was when I was in a relationship with someone who was pretty aloof, and I would go through um, many kind of hoops in my own mind of what I thought was going on and emotional reactions. And I had to unwind those hoops, like when he was kind of not around for a couple days. Um, and I had whatever it was I had said last. I'm like, maybe I said something wrong the last time that we were, or whatever. I would go through all these things in my mind. And so I had to unwind everything that I was thinking and all the meaning that I was putting on the situation and come back to what what was my perception beforehand? What was my perception before I put in all the interpretations, before I filled in any blanks? That's the thing I have a question about. That's the thing that I could have an innocent question about. Like, I could say, did I say something wrong? I could ask that question. In the example I gave, where I thought I said something wrong and I was calculating it all in my mind and getting emotionally wound up. One fairly unloaded question I could ask is, did I say something wrong a couple days ago? But it's still a little loaded because I've baked in an interpretation that I must have said something wrong, otherwise you wouldn't be missing for 2 days. So maybe a more innocent question would be along the lines of, how are you doing? How were the last 2 days? This is a bad example because it's not supercharged. So sorry, I don't have an example handy. But what I wanted to say to go deeper here, if I can go deeper without an example, is that just like in the example I did give, lame though it was, that I have a baked in interpretation. If I say, did I say something wrong 2 days ago? The baked in interpretation is, you were missing for 2 days and you shouldn't have been if everything was okay. We have baked in interpretations that we can't get behind. We can't get to what came before them because they've been with us since our childhood. So in terms of like going back in time, we don't know what it was like before our childhood abandonment experiences, or before, for me, before my mom died and I felt like I'm unlovable. Like, in fact, I lost my memory when that happened to me. My mom passed away just before I turned 4, and she stayed with me in spirit for a year. I learned later from my sister who told me. And at the end of that year, just before I turned 5, she told me in spirit, I have to go and I can't come back. I won't be coming back. And I lost my memory right after that. But I took an idea into my soul that God is a loving God, but has better things to do than to take care of me. And that comes straight from the trauma of my mom leaving just before I turned 5, when she told me that she had to go and she couldn't come back. So, in order to get to the innocent question, the completely not loaded question, we can't just go back in time um, because we can't get behind some of those traumas by going earlier than them, because we don't remember what's earlier than them, and we don't have a reference point for what life could be like without those traumas. So we actually have to study and experience through working exercises, which are exercises that I include when I'm working with people, how to experience our innocence in relationship with divine love, because that's what comes before all of those traumas. But it doesn't come before in time, because we never knew our experience of ourselves in relationship with divine love. But it comes before in terms of the fact that that is more true than the trauma that we experienced. And I'm not invalidating the experience of trauma. That's something that has to be honored and worked through and worked with. But trauma and perception, it's not even just trauma. It's like the perception that I am, a person that has to work for love. I don't know, work for a living, work for whatever. There's a whole suite of perceptions that we have because of uh, just trying to figure out how life works on earth without a connection to divine love. But the deeper truth of who we are is how we experience ourselves and our relationships and our sense of purpose and our way of moving in the world when we are connected with divine love. So, to really get to the innocent question, to get to the unloaded, no judgments, no perceptions, skewing the innocence of being, we have to um, we have to leverage the contrast between what it's like to be connected with divine love versus how we're feeling in this situation, and work that edge to question what we believe from our subconscious that's different from what we can experience when we're connected with divine love. So it's pretty deep work, but it's freaking amazingly liberating for the heart and the soul, and also liberating for your relationships, because that's how we actually get to the present moment. Like, people try to practice the present moment. I've seen some people make a mistake or have confusion about what the present moment means. It means that I just focus on the now. And yeah, that's a good practice. I just focus on what is happening right now. I just focus on the way the chair feels. It's like you can make the mistake of limiting the experience of the now to just observing what is physically happening right now. But that, I say it's limited because it doesn't actually take you to the deep interconnection where you can experience yourself as love, and then how that transforms how you show up in your relationship to yourself and to others. But when you can access that lightness of connection with love inside, then the foundation of your relationship is no longer your history of shared experiences. It's the depth of how deeply you feel love and how you can share that and walk from that. That becomes the foundation of how you connect to someone, and what builds your trust and your love together. And that's incredibly freeing. It's incredibly freeing. So my sweetheart, we've been in a relationship now for 4.5 years. And one of the most powerful aspects of our relationship is this fact of the innocent question, the fact that we both see each other now, no past hanging over our heads. And I have had trauma come up that he held a space for. I had to work through it, but he held a space for. So there have been situations where history came up and my communication was loaded with him. You know, it's a beautiful thing actually, because certain trauma that is relationship based doesn't get triggered unless you're in relationship. So it can't be healed unless you're in relationship. So it's a beautiful thing um, that I have such a high quality connection with this man, that trauma was allowed to come up and be healed instead of confirmed, which is what happened in all my other relationships. um, but but he held for me a place of the now where he didn't hold the past against me or against himself. And I have done that for him since we met. Actually, I think that meeting me was the first that he got to experience the freshness of someone actually seeing him just for who he is now, and feeling how to connect with him from feeling my own authenticity now, my own connection, letting all my communication to the best of my ability, except when things like trauma come up or whatever, which is part of growing together. Letting my communication come from feeling now. And he's so intuitive that that was natural for him, but he never experienced that with another person. And so he found it incredibly liberating that he felt that he could blossom in this space of freedom to be himself and to not feel like I'm holding him in a box. So that's the power of the innocent question. It's like, share with me, share with me. I'm not putting you in a box. I have a question for you. I want to discover more about our experience together, or about your experience, or about what I'm seeing. There's something in my experience right now that I would like to understand more deeply. And that's it. That's what the innocent question is. I just want to understand this thing more deeply. And there's no extra interpretation or perception couching it. So I hope that this made sense. And if you've got any situations that maybe I could help you find the innocent question for, you can put them in the comments if you're brave. Or if you prefer, you can put them in my DMs. And this offer stands for a little while, I guess. I was going to say 24 hours, but anytime this week. And I will help you find the innocent question in one of my lives this week, one of my videos this week. So that's my invitation to you. If you would like, the more information you give me, the more accurately I can help you find the innocent question for whatever the situation is that you have in mind. And have a great day.